This is Women in Music with Gfire podcast, episode number 42 with singer-songwriter Michelle Malone. Michelle Malone, welcome to my podcast. How are you today?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Let's get started on some of these questions right off the bat. Where are you from originally?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Is that where you're at right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so you were born and bred in Atlanta and you just stayed there?
I moved around, but I'm back here.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
and...
Are you in Austin?
Yeah.
Cool. I haven't been to Austin in a while. I'm coming there in a few months.
Oh, cool. Which club are you playing?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's something called the 420 or the 40 or something about a 4.
Well, we all know what 420 is.
I can tell you.
Okay.
I thought I could. August 4th, the 04 Center.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going to be in South Austin.
Cool.
The zip code 78704.
I love that you know that.
Well, I've been here a long time. I've been here over 20 years.
I used to have a lot of friends there, and I used to play there a lot. In fact, I played the second South by Southwest, and that's when I got signed.
Nice. Who'd you get signed by?
That was Arista. And I met such a dear woman who passed away a few years back. Did you know Margaret, who wrote for the Chronicle?
Margaret Moser, right?
Moser, yeah.
Yes.
She was a dear friend.
I didn't interact with her a whole lot, but we knew of each other.
She was such a great supporter of music. So
Absolutely.
it's one of the reasons I love Austin.
Well, there's a lot to love here.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, I see a gold record in the background. You have a gold record?
Well, it's for a co-write. There's a couple of them over there, but they're the same song. It's just on a couple records. But, that was ancient history.
Ancient history. Okay, well, we don't have to go back to the beginning of time. But I do want to know how you got onto this path of being like a singer-songwriter, guitar singer.
Yeah, well, I come from a musical family. My mother's a singer. Her mother's a singer. My grandmother was a professional singer, and so is my mother. And my stepdad's a drummer and a voice teacher, and it's just a family business.
Right. So
I didn't plan to go into it, honestly. I've just been singing as long as I can remember, and then picked up some instruments and became a songwriter by accident. And when I was in college, I really wanted to be a doctor. And then I got a record deal. It just happened. So I love music more than anything. So I just wanted to do that.
And it's in your family, so nobody was expecting you to be a doctor.
No, but I don't think anyone expected me to be a musician either, or a professional musician, because I have always taken a different path than my family. I mean, I've been very rebellious, and I've been known to question authority. So, in a healthy way.
Okay.
Well, sometimes it was more detrimental to me, but nowadays it feels like it's saving my life, and that's a good thing. And then so I got signed, and my family's very supportive of whatever I do, but it's good that I can talk to them about gigs and things like that. We can share experiences, and I can call my mom up and ask her questions about gigs, and occasionally, because we're all from here in Georgia, We play the same venues. It's pretty fun.
You play the same venues as your mom does?
Well, I have,
And
so
she's still performing?
no, she stopped a few years back. She just sings in church now, and her husband's a music minister. But he
Wow.
still plays drums, and he plays with me occasionally in my Christmas band. So it's pretty fun. It's all in the family.
Yeah, no, that's sounds like a great background for it. So that's pretty cool.
It's better now that I'm older.
Right. I guess when you're young and rebellious, you're like, ugh, I don't want to be in the family business.
I just didn't want to be in the family.
Okay. There's that as well.
Yeah.
Depending on your, the circumstances of what you grew up with. So, so I think in your bio, like it said that you'd play with some pretty heavy lifting stars.
I have, had some wonderful opportunities that I'm amazed about, and I'm very grateful for still. So, and honestly, I mean, it's pretty heady, but then after it's over, you realize they're just another musician trying to make a buck or trying to get a record played on the radio or whatever. Everyone's the same. We're all different, but we're the same.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I've toured a lot and written a lot and things with the Indigo Girls because we came up together in Atlanta. I met them when I was in college. And that's what those gold and platinum records are for. And then because they recorded a song I wrote with them. And through them, I've gotten to play with some pretty heavy hitters, like you said. And
who are some of your favorites that you played with?
Well, one of my favorite gigs was playing with them and the Patti Smith group.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's crazy good.
Yeah, so I've toured a lot with the Indigo Girls, and then through them I've played with Patti Smith and Joan Baez and Jackson Brown and just wonderful people like that, either being on the same bill or playing in their bands. So it's just been a wild ride.
And so you're pretty happy with your career as it's gone?
Sure, I'm very grateful that I'm still getting to do what I love to do. And, 3 decades into it, I can't believe how blessed I am that I get to do this still. And people still want to see me, which I find a miracle. So, no reflection on me or my songs or anything. It's just that a lot of times people grow up in a way from going to see live music, or their schedule doesn't permit it, or their finances doesn't permit it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're blessed to be able to do what you love and get paid for it.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I got a song from your publicist, Dust Bowl Man, which apparently is one of the singles that you're going to release as a video. And do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I love that song. We just shot a video for it, but I'll give you some background.
Please.
On the song. I am part of what is called Muse Destinations, and they're workshops. We started, my wife and I, and she teaches painting, and I teach songwriting. And we started it the first year. We've been doing it about 8 years. And the first year we did it on a boat because I had just done Kayamo and the Southern Rock Cruise and all that. So I thought, well, it's easy, let's do it on a cruise. But once we did that, we realized we needed maybe to be on the land near water. It just gives you more options, right? So we started doing it in North Carolina on a lake.
And what is this? What is the series called?
It's called Muse Destinations.
Muse Destination. Okay, and so you were teaching the songwriting and she was teaching the painting.
Yeah, Muse Destination workshops. And we're right now deciding whether or not to take off the word workshops, but
just leave destination.
But it's really a wonderful experience. And we've moved it to Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia now, but it's such a great experience. And I get all kinds of students. We get all kinds of students at different levels of experience and ability, and from all over the country. So one year, I want to say this was 2 years ago, possibly 3.
Mm-hmm.
I had a student take my class, and she had never written a song. She didn't play an instrument. She didn't sing. She didn't write. She was a pediatrician, but she wanted to see how the sausage is made, so to speak.
Okay, and she was part of your Muse Destination.
Yeah. So she was in my workshop and my class, and I pair my students up because it's just about 3 or 4 days. It's not a lot of time, and there's so many different levels of ability in there that I get the more experienced people to help the less experienced people. And
Nice.
I figured I should pair her with myself, so I did that. And the lesson that session was to take one of these old photographs out of this vintage photo album that I found at a thrift store or antique store, and choose a photograph, and then y'all write a song about it, what you think is going on in the photo, or just, make a story up. So Dust Bowl Man came out of that assignment.
Wow.
And I was just so pleasantly surprised by it. It's the type of song that I don't normally write. I've not ever written a song that sounds like that, but it's what the photo called for and the story called for, And my student, she had a little input. She had a few little ideas, and we ran with them, and this is the song we got. And I'm just so happy about it. And it's so well received. It's a well-written song, but it also has this cool feel to it. And like I said, it doesn't really sound like anything I would normally do. And I think that's why maybe it stands out to folks and why they're drawn to it.
Nice. Well, I look forward to seeing the video as well.
Me too.
Now, okay, so she gets co-writing credit on that?
Yeah.
And she's still being a pediatrician?
It's on a record.
That's kind of cool for her to have a credit, right?
I think so, but then again, she saves lives.
There is that. There is that.
I mean, music can save lives, but it's different. So
It's a lot different, yeah. So, yeah, okay.
She's happy about it, but she's not, as ecstatic about it as, another songwriter
Musician.
or, musician.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Now, are you putting this out independently, or do you have a label, or?
It's on my label. I have distribution, and through the distributor, they're helping a lot. It's almost like a hybrid licensing distribution deal, I would say.
Okay, so you've got a distribution deal, and that's going to help get the word out.
Yeah, I've got a great team of folks that we've all been able to hire, and it's kind of like a 50-50 thing where we're working together on it. That's why I called it a hybrid deal. But it's with a fella, Bob Frank, who I worked with at a label I was on in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What label was that?
Well, in the 90s, it was Walter Yatnikoff's label, and it was called Velvel Records.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Frank was, the head of the label, and it was, I just really liked working with Bob. So fast forward to, I guess, a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
we got a hold of him just out of the blue. I don't remember if he called me or Patty called him, and one thing led to another, and he wanted to put my record out. And I loved that because he's one of the only people I've ever worked with at a label that I thought I could really trust and who was in it for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be all high and mighty, nothing like that. I know it's a business, sure. I just like Bob,
It's nice. I mean,
Yeah.
if you feel a good connection with him, and he's, it's kind of a mutual admiration.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's one of the good ones.
Well, this is the part where I say, let our listeners listen to the song. This is Dust Bowl Man.
was not a pretty time. I could see the fields decline in the Kansas sun that burned hot like a fire. And my little brother stands with his pockets in his hands, our silence speaking volumes of desire. 'Cause I can feel the rocks right through my shoes, like I've been somewhere but I have never moved. And the preacher says that it's part of the plan. I was born to be a Dust Bowl man. This is not the life I chose. I can feel my daddy's ghost sitting on the front porch with a gun. And I hope that all my kids appreciate the work I did and get the hell out of this Dust Bowl while they're young. 'Cause I can feel the rocks right through my shoes. Well, my back is strong, but I can't hardly move. I choke on my pride like I choke on my land. I was born to be a Dust Bowl man. And every day I work from sun up to sundown, and I plant my expectations in the ground. Why do I think that my luck will turn around? Turn around. It was not a pretty time. I could feel my health decline. Every night I pray that I might understand why I was born to be a Dust Bowl man. Dust Bowl man. Dust Bowl man. Dust Bowl man. The Dust Bowl man.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I don't know a lot of your other work, but how is this song different from what you normally write?
Well, I've always been a singer-songwriter, but I've always had a foot in the rock and roll world too.
Okay, so it's less rock and roll than what you would normally put out.
Yeah, I think this record in general has more of an Americana feel to it than a lot of my previous records, even though that Americana umbrella casts a wide shadow. His seems to fit the best yet. I guess I've put out 17 records. I lose track, and I don't know if you consider live records, Christmas records, that stuff, whatever. So who knows? But This is a different record for me. It's a departure and yet a return to my roots in a strange way, because my first record was very acoustic based
Okay.
with a band on some of it. And this record is very acoustic based with a band on all of it. So I'm at home in either arena, you know what I mean?
Right, either rock and roll or Americana, whatever your muse tells you to do.
I love 70s music and everything prior to that,
Mm-hmm.
because it was less divided and less cookie cutter, and to me it felt really good. The feel for me is the most important thing. But I was thinking that my music was so heavily influenced by the 70s that maybe my other records sound a little more like that.
Like the 70s rock sort of thing?
Yeah, but this record is called 1977 because I'm still influenced by the 70s, but there's these great singer-songwriters from the 70s, you know. And plus,
Sure.
1977 is the year I started playing guitar.
Oh, really?
Really why I named it that, more than the others. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you really are feeling this album in this way at this moment in time, basically.
I'm loving it because it feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Different is always exciting, right? And I love singing these songs because I don't have to oversing or sing powerfully. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
in
it's
the
just-
past I've been known to be I can sing loudly. I can sing rock and roll and blues and all that. But since a lot of the record was written while I was sitting at home in 2020, it's more laid back because I just sat at my kitchen table with an acoustic guitar and wrote for myself. And a lot of the previous records, I had to think about who I was writing it for and where I was going to be playing. And, I'm going to be playing loud bars. I'm going to have to compete with the loud talkers or whatever. So those records were a little more amped up and a little louder. And maybe I was angrier then. Who knows? But the new record is very introspective and, for me, very thoughtful. I went a little deeper than I normally do, and I like it.
Well, cool. Now, this song in particular is not about your own personal experience. Do you normally write from your personal experience, or is it a combination?
Well, I think there's something in it that anyone can relate to.
Okay.
Like a desolation, loneliness, and feeling not necessarily victimized, but caught in circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
or something of that nature. You know, even I can relate to any number of those things. So there's an element of me in it, and when I sing it, that's where I'm singing it from.
Right. So it just rings true to you.
Sure. I mean, you know, having been in this business for so long, and like I said, I'm very grateful for everything that I've done and have and get to do. But there's always an element of people ask me all the time, "Why aren't you more famous? Why don't more people know you?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Well, that's the $1 million question. I just make the music." And so occasionally, part of me feels like the Dust Bowl man. You know?
Right, because, you're on your own and you have to deal with things on your own, I suppose. And
Well, the ground is not always fertile.
right. Okay.
But,
Fair
you know,
enough.
I still, my glass is half full, and I'm always living from that place. But I can still relate to it, is what I'm saying.
Right, exactly. And what is the name of the actual album?
Oh, well,
1977, you said, right?
I have it here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is where I do all my live streams. So this is that's a Michelle with from my phone, if you can believe it.
Okay, yeah,
And,
looks fun.
And this is the album, so I don't know if you play vinyl, but I really like it. It's pretty blues.
It's really cool. I'm actually a former rave DJ. So I've got,
Oh.
so I've got a bunch of vinyl that is on colored
Do you do
vinyl.
remixes?
I'm sorry?
Do you do remixes?
You know, I did the DJ thing for like 8 years, and then I'm classically trained as a singer, and I really was missing singing, so I kind of just put the DJing thing to the side for now. But I do incorporate beats into my own songwriting.
Oh, that's so cool. I'd love to hear what you do.
Sure, I'll send you over a link, you know. Of course,
I sang a tiny bit of opera in college.
oh, cool.
My family did a little bit of that, so I heard it growing up. And I really loved singing in Italian.
Italian's the easiest to sing in, Italian and Spanish, because those vowels are all pure.
Yeah. I did
So-
not enjoy singing in German.
German's really hard. There's a lot of guttural sounds, a lot of and there's a lot of guttural stuff that doesn't really flow off your tongue like Italian. Italian's like the best.
It is nice. But I remember having this conversation with another classically trained singer, and she loved singing in German. And
Okay, yeah, I don't agree with that, but
I just wanted to see what your opinion of it was. How you
my
felt.
opinion, yeah, if I don't have to sing in German, I'd prefer not to.
Duh.
In fact, well, I speak French, so some of the stuff I put out is in French.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, I've always liked French. It's not as easy to sing as Italian, but I like the sound of it, so it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I can peu, but
Oh, un petit peu.
you know, when I took it in high school, a moment in college, and then never used it again. So I think it just fell out of my head.
It's not easy to keep, even now, I don't really have anybody I can talk French with.
Yeah.
Living in Texas, which is everybody speaks Spanish, which I don't speak. But
Yeah, but don't you wish you'd have taken Spanish? I do right about now. For
yeah,
that reason.
I really do wish. I think I took one semester of it, but I took like 7 years of French, so that was really where my learning
Wow.
took place. I even took French pronunciation for opera singers.
Well, and I are. She has been teaching in France.
I'm sorry, who is?
Trish, my wife and partner in Muse Destination workshop.
Right, or her name is Chris.
Trish, as in Trisha.
Oh, Trish. Okay, sorry about that, Trisha.
It's okay.
Nice. And so you guys have you got married and
Yeah, we're going to go have a workshop in this little village in France called Noyer.
oh wow,
Yeah.
très bien. That's awesome.
And there'll be plenty of people there to speak French with.
Yes, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, do you have any stories you want to share, like road stories or good, bad, indifferent?
Gosh, I keep meaning to write down some stories because people always ask me, and then when they ask me, I can't think of them.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We'll keep talking, and if you start to feel like, oh wait, I could tell this one.
Okay.
But
My road stories are from crazy days back when, I was hell on wheels, and the positive stories, but some of them are funny. I don't know.
Didn't you play with John Mayer?
Well, John Mayer played with me
Oh, okay, there you go.
when, he moved down to Atlanta in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Maybe it was 2000. I can't remember the year. Oh, no, it was before that. Because I put out a record in 1999 that he played on.
Oh, nice.
And so maybe he started playing here or moved here in 98. Anyway, I play at this little club in Atlanta a lot called Eddie's Attic.
Oh, Eddie's Attic.
And John showed up one day and with his guitar on his back and asked if he could sit in. And I'm like, who is this kid?
Right.
And he looked like he was 12, even though he was 10 feet tall. He was like a baby Huey back then. But a great talent, just from the get-go. Some people just come out of the womb like that.
Right.
He's one of them. Whereas
absolutely.
me, I've taken my entire life just to get, where I am now, as good as I am now. And it seems ridiculous. But so my bass player at the time was David LaBriere, and he vouched for him because he met him at another gig somewhere, or he sat in. So he started sitting in with me, and he was great. And then we let him play a couple of his songs, and I took him on the road with me
Okay.
for not long, just a week or 2 weeks. And we played some gigs in Colorado and some other places. And he was just so well received from the first note. Almost
Wow.
everyone was informed before he got there, but they weren't. He would play 30 minutes opening for me
Right.
and 30 CDs. I mean, it was fascinating. And I knew he was going to be big.
Nice.
And he would always say that he wanted to be as big at the time. Who was it that was big? Was it NSYNC or something like that? I remember being at his apartment, and he was helping me do something on the internet because he's younger than me. He knew
Right.
that.
Uh-huh.
And he had MTV on or VH1 or something, and that video came on, and he stood up and he was acting it out with them in the background, and he was singing it. And I was like, man, he's serious. He really does want to be that big.
Right, exactly. And then he ended up doing it.
Yeah. Everyone I've ever known that wanted to be that big and knew it pretty much went on to do it. I never really wanted to be a pop star. I just wanted to be a musician, like my
Right.
parents. And although once I got a record deal and got in that groove, I wanted it, but I still didn't want to sacrifice certain parts of my life for it. I wouldn't do anything for it.
Right.
But I knew all the folks in Sugarland. They were the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even Ellen. I knew Ellen back in the day, and she was the same way. She always said she wanted to be a household name. And so when these people say, I want to be a household name, and they're, 25 or 30 at the time, or younger, older, whatever, it just seemed to happen for them because they would do anything for it.
Right.
I
Wow.
never like that. And I don't think I would ever want to be that famous.
Yeah, seriously. You want to be able to go, I don't know, have coffee someplace without anybody bothering you.
Right. I kind of thought about that. There's a song on my record called Even the Queen,
Okay.
and it's sort of about that. I was in London with a friend of mine one time, and we were at the sitting in a coffee shop by the Tower of London,
Okay.
and we were talking about the Queen and what a great life she must have. And my friend was going on and on about how she can have anything she wants anytime, and people are waiting on her hand and foot. And I just thought for a minute, eventually that would get really annoying.
Right. Yeah, I just want
anonymity sometimes, and you'd want to go to a coffee shop or whatever. So
right, or to a record store,
right,
get some vinyl.
The Queen has dreams.
So that's a song on your record. That's what it dates. That's pretty cool. See, I knew there were some stories in there. Okay, how about some more of the songs? What are some more of the songs about on the record?
I'm gonna look at it. I'll tell
Okay,
you.
grab that blue vinyl.
I have to think about it.
Yeah, sure. I edit this.
There's a song on here called Buck Knife Man.
Okay.
And that's about my dad, because he always carried a pocket knife. And when he passed, I only wanted a few things, and I just got some of his pocket knives, because he always carried one in his pocket. And I remember at Christmas or birthday, he would take it out to open a present, or he would cut a tomato off the vine with it, or we'd be fishing, and I'd get my fishing line caught in a tree, and he'd cut it out with his pocket knife. So I love this thing that he held in his hand all the time. And so I wrote a song about that, and then there's another song about my grandfather,
Okay.
named Maid, because I learned several years ago that my family has been in Georgia since the early to mid 1700s.
Oh, wow.
I know, and I was amazed by that.
And
And
where
I
did they
even,
come from?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could guess. I'm sure we're Scots-Irish, being a Malone and all.
Yeah, that does sound pretty Irish, doesn't it?
At least that side of the family.
Right.
But I saw this house that he grew up in, and well, we're on a Zoom. I can show it to you.
Okay, yeah. I don't, I don't put this on YouTube as a video,
All right. Well,
but that's cool. I want to see it.
I can also describe it. But
Well, if you have it.
Jack, and he grew up there with. There were 7 people living in that house,
Wow.
and yeah, I was young enough to have known my great grandparents
Uh-huh.
and my grandparents and their siblings. So anyway, my uncle took me to this house, and of course at the time it was pretty rundown, dilapidated, and this was just, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
So it's literally.
Oh, wow. That's where he used to live when he was young?
When he grew up there.
Wow. With 7
And-
people.
Yeah, sounds hellish. But I was amazed by that because he had a house here in Atlanta, and it was, very. I think it was a 3-1. It was a large 3-1 in the middle of Atlanta in Midtown, and I lived there. My dad lived there. Everyone lived there at one time or another,
Okay.
And I just thought, wow, what a long way he came.
Right, from what you just showed
He
me.
helped for himself, and I think part of the reason is that I think he had to quit high school to go farm and pick cotton, and he did that for one day, and he said, "Oh no, this is not for me." So he took the train to Atlanta, joined the army, and went off to fight World War II.
Okay.
And then when he got out of the war, he was better off and had some life experience, bought that house and had his family there and everything. So I just never knew what humble beginnings he came from.
Until you saw that picture.
Yeah, because it was a very middle class home, and they were frugal, and I'm sure that's because he grew up during the Depression.
Right.
He never threw away a nail or a screw or a lid or a jar or even a piece of tin foil. He would reuse everything. So I learned a lot from him, though.
Definitely. And
I loved him.
is he still with us, or?
No, I don't have much family left on my dad's side. My
Okay.
uncle's here, and that's good. I still speak to him.
How about the Indigo Girls? Any stories with them?
Well, I'm sure I have a ton of stories with them. None of them are mind-boggling or.
Right. No.
I do have a good story though about singing with them in Jambalaya.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to say it was in 1994. They all start to run together, but I think it was in '94. We were playing Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
Nice.
And yeah, and Joan Osborne opened for them,
Okay.
and then I was playing with them, and we just finished the show. We come off stage, and Amy gets this lyric sheet, hands it to me, and says, "I think we're going to do this. You know it, right?" And I look at it, I'm like, "Well, I know it, but I've never sung it in public, in front of 20,000 of our closest friends."
Right.
And it was in an arena. It
Yes.
wasn't at the fairground. And I was a little nervous, so to speak. She wanted me to take a verse. I'm like, okay, well, I think I can pull this off. We go back up and we start singing Wild Horses.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Stones fan, so I know the song.
Right.
Like that, I'm sure I've sung to it on the radio, but not like this. So we get up there and I grab, I guess it was the second verse. And it went over so well. And I just sang the hell out of it. And I still to this day don't know how it happened, but I grabbed a hold of this and just made it my own right then and there. And I don't know how it happened, but I've been singing it ever since, you know.
Nice.
But during the song, during the chorus, I hear this voice that I hadn't heard before on stage earlier. And I look over and Joan Baez is standing by one of us singing. And I was like, where did she come from? And wow. You know, I'm 1 degree away from Bob Dylan now, but I guess I was anyway because the Indigo Girls toured with them too. I mean, toured with Bob Dylan too, so I never thought of it that way. But, you know, Joan was so cool, and I got to sing with her that night. And afterwards, she and I spoke, and she was very kind, you know, and she said that I could sing with her anytime I wanted, that she enjoyed my voice and everything. And I just think it's amazing. You know, if you just show up, things happen. Magical things can happen. You just have to show up.
Yep. Is that guitar solo on Dust Bowl Man, is that you playing?
No. You know, that's the thing about this record I was saying earlier. I'm very laid back on this record, and I really just strum my acoustic guitar.
Okay.
Normally, I take a lot of solos, especially slide solos on my records, and things are much more amped up, literally.
Right.
But I only played electric guitar, and it's really just feedback noise, and on the end of a song called Powder Keg.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed that. But I haven't, you know, I didn't play any electric for, gosh, well over a year because I didn't have any band shows. I was just either live streaming or playing in people's yards, you know?
Right, exactly.
So I just wasn't in the mood.
Yeah, just play your acoustic. You've got an acoustic environment for that. Did you use Facebook or Instagram or YouTube for live streaming?
I used Facebook, and I tried some other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Either they were too difficult for people to understand, to get to, or to use, or how to tip, or all this stuff. So I just went back to Facebook. And people have been so good to me there. You know, you just push go, and you start singing. And if you ask them, you know, people, if you're able and you're enjoying it, please leave a tip. Here's my Venmo, here's my PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, over half of them usually do.
Aw.
And I've done well. I mean, it was something that really got me through 2020. And then I started a Patreon account.
Oh, really?
In September of 2020. Yeah, a lot of folks were telling me I should do it, so I finally did. And I do most of my social media posting on Patreon.
Okay, so yeah, you've got a very active Patreon.
I do, and I post videos and guitar lessons and funny things, and we started something called Dear Michelle, where people send in questions. And about, you know, every so often I'll do a video where I answer the questions just off the top of my head. And I like talking to people, and I like being in touch like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer to be in person, honestly, but, you know, when you can't do that, this is great.
No, it is great. I'm actually thinking of starting my own Patreon, so I'm basically checking out a bunch of people's Patreons for like a month just to see what you're doing, and I will definitely add yours to my list. So don't feel bad if I'm just there for a month.
No, I won't. But I'm happy to help you if you have any questions. I grilled a lot of my friends and took so many notes because there's quite the learning curve, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one person told me that I should put at least an hour's worth of content out every month. And it just seemed like a lot of content. Do you look at it like...
I'll tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, and it was in 2020,
Right.
people were more attentive, and they were excited about it because they didn't have anything else to do.
Right. Okay.
I still have roughly the same amount of patrons. Every month it'll go up a little, go down a little,
Right.
depending on the economy and whatnot. But
Sure.
they don't often care what you post. Sometimes they don't even pay attention. They just do it to support the artist.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Now, I think the way it started was I was making a new record. It was like an unplugged greatest hits record.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and it was, me and my guitar player on acoustic guitars in the studio. That's it. And they were the songs that everyone always requests. So I made that part of it,
Okay. Yeah.
and then that really got people involved. So maybe to grab them, you need a little something in the front.
Okay. That's a
For
good
that, I
idea.
just try to post 4 times a month, and it's not always every week because I don't always remember.
Right. Okay.
And they weren't even paying that much attention, after things calmed down and people went back to work and everything, the world opened up. They weren't as interested in watching live streams and watching videos because I think that's all anyone did for a year, right?
Right. And yeah.
So I occasionally will do an exclusive live stream for them because I started a Patreon Facebook page just for them. It's a group that I have to let you in to join.
Okay. Got it. Hmm.
And then I would do my live streams for them there. To
Right.
make
Okay.
it special. And they are special,
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know how many listeners you have on your podcast, but I have a friend who has a podcast that's pretty successful.
Nice.
It's not about music. It's called Trashy Divorces. She loves
Okay.
music. She talks a lot about famous musicians' divorces and stuff, or actors or whatever, but I bring it up because she has a Patreon.
Okay.
You can check out. She just does a podcast, and then she talks about her Patreon on her podcast, and then if people join her Patreon, they'll get like a cool tote bag with it, stickers and stuff in it, depending on what level they're at,
Oh, wow.
And people really love stickers.
They love stickers? Okay. I might still have some old Gfire music stickers around here somewhere. Yeah.
I did that. I gotta hop, but
Okay, yeah, no, this was great. I really enjoyed it, and it's great to meet you. I know it'd be better in person, but, this enabled us.
Gfire.
Yep, Gfire.
Okay. Good luck to you, and thank you again for your time.
Awesome. Nice to meet you. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, Gfire. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.